So you've bought an electric car. You're feeling good. You're helping Mother Nature with zero emissions, right? In Virtually Rick, we take a look at the real impact of electric cars. So come with me. Let's get virtual. Now, what do I have for you? Well, here are two cars. And the red one is a gasoline-powered car. The white one is an electric car. What we're going to be doing is comparing them on the amount of carbon emissions, the bad stuff for the environment, that they both create and produce. I'm going to simplify things here, but basically these two cars are roughly the same in size and speed. Let's represent them even more simply. For a gasoline car, what have I got for you? Oh, look, it's a little gas tank. Oh. And for the electric car, none other than a rather gorgeous-looking battery. Oh. But, Rick, why do they both have wheels? That's because they're going to be in a race. So come along, join me at the start line. Let's begin with manufacturing. The amount of emissions it takes to create both cars, rather bizarrely, is the same, roughly, so they both move ahead at the same pace in the race. However, the electric car has a battery, and it takes some emissions to produce that, which means that the gasoline car moves ahead in the race. The next part of the race is driving. Let's take a look at how much carbon the two cars emit when we use them. So, who wants to do a little bit of math? Oh, come on, it's going to be fun. And here's some figures from the US Department of Energy, and 5.7 metric tons. That's how much a gasoline-powered car emits in a year. Now, your electric car with zero emissions, right? No, actually, if you're going to charge your car, you're using electricity. And where does that come from? It comes from the grid, which is a mixture of fossil fuels and renewable energy as well. Surprisingly, it generates 2.2 metric tons of emissions in 1 year. So that's a fair bit, but it's less than half of the gasoline-powered car. So we come back to our race, and what does that mean? Our electric car pulls ahead quite considerably. Yes, but Rick, where does the power come from, I hear you cry? Well, the amount of emissions your fully electric car creates really just comes down to how the electricity it uses is generated. And right now, electricity across the US comes from these sources. It's 63% from fossil fuels, that's oil, coal, and gas. We get a further 20% from nuclear power, which I bet you thought was surprising. And this over here, what is this strange-looking propeller? Well, this represents renewables, otherwise known as water, wind, and solar. And if you're good at math, you'd have probably figured it out already. 17%, that's what we get currently from our renewable energy sources. But here's where the real environmental power of the electric car comes into play. In order to fully win the race on emissions and get them to as near to zero as possible, the key factor will be cutting back on the fossil fuels here and ramping up the renewables. Do that and the future really will be electric. And your car will be like your laptop, something you can plug in anywhere you go. We have no choice but to discover how to make energy cleaner so we can all live a lot healthier and longer lives together. Because, let's face it, commuting just ain't going away. So, if necessity truly is the mother of invention, then I can tell you there is one mother in particular who'll be the most grateful of them all, Mother Earth herself.